Little backhanded shot goes out of bounds. No one on the backup, though, and Brighton's going to get the ball back.
So we talk about these little things your team has to do well. You notice there's nobody back there, and you're on the offense. You've got to get back there to back up that shot.
Ball is on the turf. Easton Albert going to come up with it, get a touch. Looking for goal, protecting his stick nicely. He's being pestered by Hunter Easterly.
Yeah, just tried to force that pass in there. I can't say I blame him for trying to get rid of the ball after the punishment he was taking, but yeah, tried to force it too much onto that crease. There just was no room for his teammate to work.
And Brendan Roberts on the great outlet pass to Bo Caldwell. Caldwell's going to clear, get the ball into the offensive end. Schumann with the ball.
You know, that's what I love to see from those long pulls when they bring it over. Just touch a corner of the box and then find a shorty to pass it off to. You don't need to be a hero.
That's Jack George, who we talked about in the pregame, 17. Working from X, gets the ball over to Hauer. Finds space on the long pull, still with it. What an individual effort by Hauer. Just drives to the goal, spinning and dodging, able to get his first goal of the game.
It's probably exactly how Coach John Holmes drew it up, I would think. Just, you know, twist back and forth between 3 or 4 guys and put it on the cage. Obviously, just a great individual effort. Finds himself in a sticky situation. Just keeps rolling, still has the ball, and buries it in the back of the net.
Yeah, I'd like to see Owen for the Bengals maybe get a little lower, play a little more body on that one to try to keep Hauer out of the lane. But nevertheless, score is tied at 1, 7:06 left. You mentioned Coach John Holmes. This is his 4th season for the Soaring Eagle. And has them firing on all cylinders. He took over for a longtime coach, Pat Lambert, who had led the Soaring Eagle to back-to-back championships. And a lot of people were worried when that transition took place that Holmes wouldn't, or you know, there'd be a different culture or the team would just look different. But it's pretty much been a smooth transition as he's taken over.
Yeah, the Soaring Eagle have just continued to have success. And just basically picked up where Coach Lambert left off.
Ball was down, loose ball push against Brighton. And the Soaring Eagle takes the ball over. Good crowd so far. I expect more fans to roll in. Looks like both schools brought their cheering sections, which is always a fun sight to see in these high school playoffs. Last year the championships were held at Brighton, and they obviously played in the state championship game and won it, as we see a great play here by Brighton, able to get the turnover.
Yeah, Brighton long pull's just relentless there, trying to get that ball, and they come up with it. But that is Andy Schumann redeems himself, comes back with a great ride, and just that trail check on the long pull to force the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, Schumann with 19 goals, 33 assists on the season. A true X-player, you know, doesn't get around the crease very much to score, but just is able to quarterback the offense from behind the goal, as we see a shot by Howard go high, and Juan Diego retains. 5:42 left in this first quarter. Score is tied at 1. There's a shot by number 1, wrong team, Blake Davis. Is gobbled up by the Brighton defense.
Yeah, hit into Cody Chase. You can see him, it probably stings just a little bit there. He came up a little bit limp. I think it got him in the thigh. Oh, and then a great ride again by the Soaring Eagle. Maybe not what you expect when you hear the name Juan Diego, that they're going to play this physical ride, but man, they are really getting after it today.
Behind the back pass goes errant. Juan Diego's going to track it down, though. 17, Jack George able to come up with it. Looks out on the crease, finds Davis for the goal.
Oh, you love to see a team take advantage of that unsettled situation. That behind the back pass, it was a good idea, but the execution wasn't there. Luckily enough for the Soaring Eagle, it stays in bounds, and they're able to just scoop it up and realize that the defense is still kind of looking at the ground ball, trying to find their man, and maybe haven't collapsed to the middle to play inside out to find their guys. They should have.
Yeah, great heads-up play there. Sort of like a restart, not actually off a restart, but kind of felt like a restart play. And like you said, the Brighton defense just kind of losing their way, as we see Juan Diego take its first lead of the game, 2-1 here with 5:01 left in this first quarter. Again, Lund and Bo Caldwell going after it. Caldwell coming up with it again. Outlets to fellow pole number 14. That is not, oh, there he is, Ryan Baker. Again, Steve, we mentioned this in the semifinal. Ryan Baker coming is one of the best poles in the state of Utah. Got injured, though, at the beginning of the season. So I believe this is only his third or fourth game. But highly touted player. And it's good to see him getting out there back on the field after an injury.
Yeah, on that same note, Tim, one thing that I'm most impressed with about Juan Diego is the stick skills of their poles year after year. Not just their stick checks and things, but when they have the ball in their hands or in their sticks more appropriately, they know what to do with it. They can handle the ball. They can throw good, crisp passes. And it's something I think that differentiates a good team from a great team.
Nice little play there by Easton Albert, able to shield off Baker and come up with the ground ball. He's going to push from X, trying to fade and find space on Baker. Baker up to the challenge. Again, like I said, one of the better defenders in the state of Utah. Steve, you mentioned long poles that have come out of Juan Diego. I remember a Utah player a long time ago named Alex Wee. I don't know if you remember him, but he came out of Juan Diego, kind of started that. They had a tough young man named Matt Youngman as well. That's turned into several long poles. Carter Mannix, Bo Long. You're right, though. They've had several great poles. As we see a good shot here by Brighton, Kimball Reese putting it low, but Brendan Roberts gobbles it up.
Oh, man, a great save on the 5-hole there. The shooter did everything right, changed his planes, put it low, got some oomph on it, some velocity on it, but when a goalie's on, there's not a lot you can do to get it past him. And Roberts does a great job of, following that ball all the way down.
Got our first tweets of the game, Steve. Again, if you want to tweet at us, go ahead and do so. At Tim Haslam is my Twitter handle. Steve's is at the Steven Nelson. We'll read your tweets live on air. Lawrence Cirillo tuning in. He says, the Cirillos are here in Orlando and are streaming y'all, watching the only freshman starting on Brighton's varsity, number 15, MJ Cirillo.
Oh, and very reminiscent of that overtime shot. Howard is confident from out there, pulls out the howitzer, fires the cannon, and just gets upper 90. Great shot.
Let's see, get another look here, hopefully on this replay. You'll see him up top. Pretty much the same distance, Steve. Pretty much the exact same stroke, just nails it from 15 yards out. And again, as you mentioned, that's exactly how they won that first or that semifinal game. So an impressive shot by Howard to give the Soaring Eagle a 3-1 lead with 2:34 left in this first quarter. Again, going back to the tweet, Cirillo, thank you for watching all the way in Orlando. We'll be sure to point out number 15 when he gets the ball for you for Brighton. Again, if you want to tweet at us, that's at Tim Haslam and at the Steven Nelson. And we'll read your tweets live on air as Brighton throws away the ball. Steve, if you're Brighton, call a timeout maybe on the next dead ball?
Yeah, seems a bit uncharacteristic. Had a few bad passes on that clear attempt, and you can play better than this. So maybe feeling a little flustered. Howard gets that big goal that you don't feel like should have got in and everything, and maybe just a little bit frustrated, and your mind's could use a timeout just to kind of recoup and get yourself set to play your best ball.
Good defense by the Brighton Poles, but number 29, Sam Burbank, getting double teamed and just living through it. Not sure what to call the whistle.
Looked like an interference call.
Interference or a hold there on Juan Diego as Brighton looks to clear. There's number 6, Keb Hesley. Shot goes wide and Brighton backs it up. 1:28 left in this first quarter.
Again, a high pass, and Brighton's having trouble just keeping the fundamentals together right now. It's a little odd to see.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic from this Brighton team who looked very good in their semifinal game against Logan. That was a 19-9 drubbing of the Grizzlies. And see if they can carry that momentum from that game. Of course, on the other hand, Juan Diego using the momentum of an emotional overtime win over the #1 team, Park City. Park City was undefeated coming in state coming into that game. So nice stick fake. Oh, what a goal by Justice Peterson. Gets the whole defense looking as they thought he threw it up top, and then just easily dunks it in.
Oh, the power of a great stick fake. Had a teammate at UVU, Colin Madsen, who would throw these stick fakes, and eventually the coaches on the other side would have to yell, "He's still got the ball," so that people wouldn't leave him. So we missed the fake there, but then you can see the finish. He just waits a moment, and that's the importance of a great fake, what to do after. You throw a great fake, wait a second for the defense to think you don't have the ball anymore, and then move. He does that beautifully, and boy, does it pay off.
Brings the score to 3-2 in favor of Juan Diego. 43 seconds left in this first quarter, and there's Lund coming up with it. Didn't see the man behind him who was released. Still retains, though.
You know, Tim, you talked about the size and power of Sione Lund, but he also has really quick hands. He's won the clamp on both faceoffs he's been on today.
He has. He's actually played lacrosse for several years. His older brother was a faceoff specialist for Brighton, who's currently at SVU, playing back east in Division III.
15 seconds left, and the Soaring Eagles got the ball. They are going to have to try to create quickly here.
Yeah, it looks like a 3-on-6 as the Juan Diego offense getting onto the field. 5 seconds left. Moves the ball up and unable to get a shot off as time expires in this first quarter. Juan Diego 3, Brighton 2. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, join us for the second quarter.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
And we're back from the break, Lax fans. Thanks for joining us. You're either watching this broadcast on UtahLacrosseNews.com, UtahLax.org, or one of the many avenues of LaxAllStars. We've got a game for you here today. After the first quarter, Juan Diego leads Brighton 3-2 in the Utah High School Lacrosse League Class A State Championship game. A great first quarter of play, high-level lacrosse being played here today at Alta High School in Sandy, Utah. I'm Tim Haslam, joined by my co-host Steve Nelson. Go ahead and shout us out on Twitter. We'll answer your questions, provide commentary, shoot us some MLL scores as we're not able to see those right now. My Twitter handle, though, is @TimHaslam. Steve's is @TheStevenNelson. We have another tweet out of that break, Steve, by Luke Graney. It says, "Let's go JD." If you remember Luke Graney, played for Juan Diego, number 17 for many years. Was part of a back-to-back state championship team in 2012 and 2013, I believe. That could be wrong. But All-American for Juan Diego as well. Currently applying his trade at the University of Utah. As we see Juan Diego get the first face-off of the second quarter. Run kind of a slow break. Gets a nice shot that goes high. And they're going to give the backup to Juan Diego, number 17, Jack George, channeling his inner Luke Graney.
Beautiful, beautiful execution on that. And they slowed down a fast break. It wasn't a true slow break, but found the open man to get his hands free for the shot instead of just following the formula of passing it to the next guy. If that shot gets on, you know, it's going to be a goal. It's just so close to the cage.
Pretty even first quarter from both teams. Good defense, good offense, as Howard looks to create an opportunity here. There's Schumann on the shot, goes just wide.
Schumann's so shifty, able to shift back and forth between his left and his right real quick. You've really got to keep a stick on that guy. So the thing we'd like to see more of, I think, in this second quarter is more team offense. We've seen a lot of great individual efforts, a great stick fake, a run through 4 guys, a great shot from up top. But if we could see some team offense, there might be a few more goals put up on the board.
Good effort there. Good idea by Schumann. Brighton kicks it out. Great play there. Kimball Reese on the break. Looks up and finds Noah Lund. Great teamwork by Brighton. And we've got a flag down by one ref and another ref waving off the goal. Conflicting calls here by the refs as Tennyson Schmidt finds the back of the net. One ref's going to say he was pushed. The other's probably going to say he fell into the crease as they have a conversation.
So, Tim, we saw this earlier. If the player is pushed into the crease and the goal goes before he touches the crease, it should be a good goal.
Referee still conferring. Still no call. We have one ref pointing the direction of Juan Diego, which means the goal is waved off. They're gonna have a penalty on Juan Diego, so they're gonna call it a push. However, that should be a goal then, right?
He might have stepped in the crease before, or touched in the crease before the ball went in the net, and in that case you can't count it even if he was pushed. So I'm gonna guess that that's what happened.
Okay, so the play on the field is Brighton with a man up opportunity here as Juan Diego was found to have pushed with possession, and Brighton moving the ball around well here. Juan Diego up to the task.
You see, Juan Diego does something a bit different than you see in Utah a lot with the man-down defense. They pressure behind. Whoever has the ball has a guy on him, even if he's back at X behind the cage.
There's Schmidt able to find space and get a shot off, goes just wide right. Good play there. I think, though, Steve, that speaks to what you said earlier in the broadcast, that Juan Diego's pulls are just so confident and so good that they can afford to do that.
Yeah, they do a great job. The lacrosse IQ is really high at Juan Diego. You see they rotate really well the opposite way the ball is moving, and it allows them to run that on their defense.
Ball hits the turf as Peterson looks right into the sun on that pass. See if the sun will have a factor as it's setting here in the west. We're live here from Sandy, Utah at Alta High School for this Class A championship game between the Brighton Bengals and the Juan Diego Soaring Eagle as Eason Albert shoots just wide. Teams are back to even strength as Juan Diego was able to kill that penalty. Skip pass tried for up top. Ball is down. Bo Caldwell coming up with the ground ball. 3 Brighton players there. Caldwell, though, able to scoop through it and get it to a teammate. And Juan Diego will look to clear. So great individual effort there by Bo Caldwell. The Soaring Eagle gives it right back, though. Owen on the shot that had a trail check at the same time.
Great effort to save a goal there after, maybe being a little too casual on the clear.
And we've got a flag down. Going to have a penalty on Brighton, which will give us a Juan Diego extra man opportunity. 8:50 left in the second quarter. The Soaring Eagle leads 3-2 over the Brighton Bengals. Got a tweet in here, Steve. Bob Baker says, thanks for the video coverage from Ryan Baker, number 14, Juan Diego's grandparents in Idaho Falls. Wish we could be there. Thanks to Bob Baker, excuse me, for watching this. Got another one from Mike Calvert. He says, how does a 2002 Walker Bateman, Andrew Olson, Scott Lawler team compare to one of these two? And how has the talent changed? I don't know if Mike left my name off because I was also on that team, but Mike, I think that these teams are much better, to be honest with you. That Highland squad you referred to, the 2002 Rams, who went undefeated in the regular season, lost to Judge in the postseason, were very good. Lots of great individual players, like you mentioned there, Walker Bateman, Andrew Olson, Scott Lawler. You're leaving off a couple others as well, but this, I think, in those days, Steve, you could show up in January having not even touched your stick, in the off season and still compete at a high level, where Nowadays, it feels like you have to be playing, at least have your stick in your hands pretty frequently, and watching lots of games, watching film. We never watched film back in those days, and these teams are all watching film, all increasing that lacrosse IQ, like you talked about. Athletically, Mike, I'd say they're similar. Probably a little more athletic on some of these teams, but yeah. The play on the field has certainly improved since 2002.
Yeah, I think you have just better players all around at each position. You had some great individual players, but at each position I think you have players that really know what they're doing, who have been playing lacrosse a long time. The stick skills are there. The athleticism is comparable, right? But that lacrosse IQ, that lacrosse knowledge, and just overall I think, yeah, the game is played faster, which is one thing you'll also notice if you move on, whatever level you move up to, from high school to college or from junior high to high school, whatever, the game gets faster. And I think it's played a lot faster now than it was back when we were in high school.
Absolutely. As you see Houston Crane Bowl come up with a huge save for Brighton and a good outlet to get Brighton another chance for a goal here. Steve, you mentioned there were great individual players in those days. And I would agree, I think a lot of the play these days, too, is a lot more specialized. A Fogo position wasn't really a thing when I played. The two-way midfielder, which they've made some emphasis to come back in the last few years, that was it. There was no such thing as a D-midi in those days. Your LSMs were typically just guys who were fast, but also they also were part of
Great wrap check. Sorry, Tim, I had to interrupt. That was a beautiful wrap check. Such a dangerous play to make because you can get yourself a penalty so easily. You have to have it timed perfectly, but that's what happened. Sorry, Tim, continue.
No, I was just saying, your LSM was still part of your close defense. They just kind of rotated through. It was more of a reward to play an LSM than a specialized position like you see now. Some of these LSMs have never played close D. That's all they've played is LSM. So we've got a timeout here on the field. 5:57 left in this second quarter of the 2017 UHSLL Class A State Championship game. Feel free to tweet at us your questions, comments, concerns, feedback, predictions. Again, I'd love some MLL scores. My Twitter is @TimHaslam, TimHaslam, and Steve's is @Steven Nelson. Have a tweet from Tribal West Lacrosse. Not sure if they're in the stands. I know their booth is set up just outside the doors, but their store is also just down the street. They ask, wasn't Tennyson Schmidt last year's MVP? And I'll let you answer that, Steve. I believe he was in that in the championship game.
Yeah, the championship
last year,
game.
He was the MVP.
Kind of surprising because everybody expected if Brighton won, it would be because of one man.
Yeah,
Bubba. Yeah, but Tennyson Schmidt, I think he's an undervalued player. He really, really does everything well. He makes his teammates better around him. He makes crisp passes. He puts great shots on cage. He can shoot from outside. He can play inside. Just a good player all around.
Tribal West then follows that up and says Kimber Hauer, who is Chance Hauer's sister, who plays goalie for Brighton, is a North Carolina commit. And they add that when Chance shoots on her, he's really getting tested. It's not shooting on your little sister in the backyard. It's shooting against a UNC commit goalie.
Awesome. I also got a tweet came in from Linda Ward. She says, proud grandparents watching in Southern California. Go Brighton. Watching for #1 Isaiah Avalos. So thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, keep those tweets coming. Lots of good ones as we see Noah Lund, brother of Sione, with the tough ride there, able to force Juan Diego to throw it out of bounds. And Brighton has a wide open shot and a goal. Great heads up play there by Lund, who finds #1 Isaiah Avalos. Hey. Grandma must be proud.
One proud grandma watching in Southern California for sure. So we saw Juan Diego do something very similar in the first quarter, just take advantage of an unsettled situation where the ball was behind the cage, the defense is kind of sleeping, just watching ball, and Isaiah Avalos does a great job of recognizing that nobody's picked him up and just keeps moving towards the cage, calls for the ball not with his mouth so much but with his stick, gives his teammate a target and catches and finishes. Great job by the Bengals.
24th goal on the season. he's a captain, Steve, and is also headed to, let's see, that's a different player, excuse me. He's captain on this squad, so it's good to see your captain leading the team out there. As Juan Diego comes up with the face-off win. Couple more tweets, Steve, as Juan Diego settles. Colin Lewis asks, other than just players getting better, how has the game of lacrosse in Utah changed in the past decade or two?
I mean, there's lots of ways. That's a big question. There's a lot encompassed there, but I think you've got just the growth of the game in general. You have so many more youth players. Players are playing from so much of a younger age. More people are coaching at the youth level and at the, coaching their own kids and learning about lacrosse who didn't know about it before. People are growing up who have played the game so they can pass that knowledge on to players, as opposed to moms and dads just kind of studying the game themselves to be coaches. The schools support it more. Something maybe we haven't mentioned in this broadcast is that lacrosse will be a high school sanctioned sport in the 2019-2020 school year. I mean, I could go on and on. It's
sure. The parts that stand out to me is there's more teams. When I graduated in 2003, there were 12 to 15 high school teams, and now this year there were 41 high school teams. Yeah,
to speak to that, there were 2 teams in Utah County when I played. I played on one of the 2 teams, and we'd drive across town so we could play, and then we'd drive all the way up to Salt Lake County to play all our away games.
Yep. So I mean, that's one aspect. The other that I liked you pointing out is more youth players, but also you see this generational thing. Utah has been played in, or lacrosse has been played in Utah since 1994, and some of those older players are giving back, as evidenced here. That near official, Steve, played in high school at Highland. He was on those first couple teams that Highland fielded, went on to play at BYU. As we get a nice garbage goal here, number 29 for Juan Diego. That is Sam Burbank being opportunist.
Yeah, Sam does a great job there, just recognizing that the ball's still on the ground. The initial shot comes off a defender. He can't scoop it and takes a couple steps downfield before he realizes he doesn't have it. And then Sam Burbank just comes in, scoops, and gets a quick shot while his hands are still free. Nice scoop and score there.
Good to see that. As I was talking to Steve when that goal happened, the official there on your right-hand side, Steve Niederhauser, played at Highland, played at BYU, has been an official for a long time, coaches a 7th and 8th grade Skyline team that his son plays on. So I think as we continue to see that with the sanctioning, with generational lacrosse being played, the sport will just continue to grow and grow and grow and explode. At the collegiate level, you'll see Westminster playing at Division II level, which is very competitive. We have some of the best club teams in the MCLA, and then hopefully the University of Utah will announce here in the next few weeks that they're going to be an NCAA Division I team. Lots still to happen in there. Could happen, might not happen at all. What I'm being told is that it's positive, so we'll see what happens as Brighton takes a shot. Looks like it was a pass, they're going to say, as that's why Tennyson Smith dove for it, as Juan Diego looks to clear. Lots of tweets coming in, Steve. We had hardly any tweets coming in the Class C and Class B games. Stephen Koss is saying, tell number 32 Matt Monson to run faster, from his friend in Albuquerque. So thanks, Stephen, for tweeting in there. Got a viewer from Houston, Texas, Julianne Bear. Shout out to number 35, Matt Powley on Brighton Bengals, proud cousins in Texas. So thanks for watching, Julian. Nick Dodge played LSM for Alta in 1998 state championship team. Amazing how far lacrosse has come in Utah. Thank you, UHSAA. And finally, Mike Calvert, our favorite Twitter user today, says Coach Will Manny in Boston down to the Lizards 16-13. Coach Marcus Holman and the Sheens fall short to Charlotte 10-8. Go Jay Sankey, number 11. As we see a goal here from Juan Diego, number 10, Zach Madsen.
Oh, what you love to see there is Juan Diego, there's an unsettled situation. The ball's on the ground. Everybody's scrambling for that ball. They pick it up. They move the rock. The man doesn't sit there with the ball. He moves it behind the cage. That man moves it to the next guy. And not a ton of angle, but places the shot in a great spot because the goalie's still moving to get on his line. and able to just sneak it in there on the near side.
Shout out to our cameramen down there on the field, Kendall Jackson, our guys upstairs, Stephen Adam, our replay guy, Zach Goslin, and the director of the whole thing, Rick Cladis, coming at you live from Alta High School in Sandy, Utah. Juan Diego with a 5-3 lead late in the second quarter. As we see Bo Long with a nice little move there to collect the ball. Thought he lost it, didn't lose it, but then lost it. And he's going to lead the break as Owen continues to just hound him from behind. And Brighton's going to come up with it. Number 32, Matt Monison, must have heard his buddy Steven yelling at him. And Steven, was that fast enough? Tweet at us, let us know. as we have a flag down, and it looks like probably a timeout as well, as both teams head to their benches. Bummer to hear about the two Utah MLL assistant coaches in the MLL. Looks like they'll both fall short today. Adam Gittleman played yesterday for the Atlanta Blaze. Thanks again to Nick Dodge for tweeting in, Julianne Bear, Stephen Koss. Alec tweets in, says, what's your favorite type of shaft?
Favorite type of shaft? You know, I haven't bought a new lacrosse stick in eons. I'm trying to think what I used back in college. I know I had a Brian Edge head. We talked about this. It was bulletproof. I think I still have it. But I think I just had an old, Brian, it might have been like a scandium alloy, but I don't know.
So mine was a De Beer. Remember that company?
Yeah, turned into Gate.
Yep, it was a De Beer. I don't even remember like what model it was called, but and then recently I've got a couple sticks that I hit the wall with every once in a while. One is actually a custom wooden shaft that was made by a local guy that I just love. It feels so smooth. And then I've really liked what Will Manny has been bringing to practice in games, and that's it's an STX shaft. It's pretty slick too. And then I really like what Epic's doing.
I was gonna say we had a couple Epic sticks up here in the booth. I think they go to the game MVPs for Class B and Class A, something like that, and they have a real good feel to them. Really like that, but unfortunately we're too old to give you anything really up to date on what's the best shaft out there.
Yeah, I'd encourage you to go to your local lacrosse store. There's two local lacrosse stores here in Utah, Tribal West Lacrosse in Sandy, just down the street, and Storm Lacrosse. Both had a tent here as we see a nice pass trying to find Schmidt, who's unable to collect it. Like I was saying, though, Storm Lacrosse down in Pleasant Grove, both player-owned and operated, and great place to pick up new lacrosse gear. Getting a tweet from Calvert who's saying Coach Manny actually won, so congratulations to the Boston Cannons on a big win over the Long Island Lizards. Steve, you watch much MLL?
Not as much as I'd like to. I try to watch as much lacrosse as I can, if I'm being honest, but I'm a relatively busy guy, so I don't get to see as much lacrosse as I'd like to. And any kind of lacrosse, indoor, outdoor, college, high school, pro, I like to watch it all.
I agree. Lots of opportunities in the last few years to watch live lacrosse through ESPN, LSN, the Lax Sports Network that came on board last season. LaxAllStars, obviously, who's carrying this game. Just a great time to be a lacrosse fan, especially in Utah with, like we mentioned, the high school is becoming sanctioned in the 2019-2020 season. So as we see Easton Albert working the ball around, getting it up to number 7, Chase Ebling, who's working around under pressure, gets the ball back to Peterson as the Brighton Bengals working around on their offense. Nice feed to Tennyson. Ball down. Great stick check by number 7, Hunter Easterly, able to jar that one free as Bo Caldwell looks to clear. Tough ride by the Bengals.
Yeah, Juan Diego down, having trouble clearing here in the second half. Did a nice job to eat up that penalty a little while back, but haven't been able to get a possession down on their offensive end, something they're going to need to figure out.
I think Caldwell just needs some help from his teammates. He's come up with a couple ground balls, but unable to clear. See if Brian with the rip, and Brendan Roberts is going to eat those up all day. I'd like to see that shot put on the ground.
Yeah, especially on this turf, when you warm up, you can find a really consistent bounce shot that'll work really well for you. You'd like to see players utilize that a little more instead of that high-to-high shot that's, for from the outside, it's too easy to save. But again, we see the Soaring Eagle having trouble clearing that ball, giving Brighton another opportunity.
13 seconds left in this quarter. Be a huge momentum swing for Brighton to put one in the back of the net. Ebling driving from goal. Don't know if he knows he has short time. Needs to get some help. And we're going to get a shot, but as time expires, doesn't matter as it goes wide anyway. What a half, Steve. Juan Diego leading 5-3 over Brighton in a little bit of a script flipper from last season where the Brighton got up early on Juan Diego in the 2016 state championship game. And a good first half. What do you think we'll see in the second half?
I think we're going to see the teams, just this intensity keep to rise, right? It'll just keep rising. They're both playing tough, but I think that we saw them be a little scrappier in the first part of the game, and in the second part they've calmed down maybe a little too much. So we'll see that adrenaline come back up, players running through each other, good stick checks, good rides, good clears. But I think we'll see a lot more team offense. I think that both of the teams have seen how the other defense sets up now. They've felt out some of the stuff, and the coaches will draw up something to get a few more points on the board.
Don't forget to keep those tweets coming in, fans, during the halftime break. Go pop some popcorn. Get your favorite beverage as we prepare for this second half. We're going to take a break. On the other side, the second half of the UHSLL Class A state championship game between the Juan Diego Soaring Eagle and the Brighton Bengals.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Tribal West is the first name in lacrosse out west. For more than 15 years, Tribal West has been gearing up beginners to ballers. Our online store is super easy, and we save you time and money. In team stores, let us do your work. Our deals for both men's and women's MCLA teams are flat out laxtastic. We just made that up. Sublimated unis, made in the USA and delivered on time. Tribal West, proud to be family owned and player operated. Tribal West, look good, play better.
Shoot Out for Soldiers is a lacrosse event. It's 24 one-hour games in a row.
I mean, I'm pretty excited that we get to play at midnight. That's pretty cool.
So our game is at 3 o'clock in the morning.
My son's playing in the 7 a.m. game.
Just finished 24 hours.
Doesn't matter what time. Playing lacrosse for just awesome cause.
10 to 15,000 people circulating through in a 24-hour non-stop event and 1 hour blocks of lacrosse. I mean, that's powerful stuff.
Shoot Out for Soldiers is a gathering of the community together around a common cause. It's really about just using lacrosse as a platform to give back to those who serve our country. And that's what makes the event so special, that it brings all these people together.
I think it's like a really special opportunity to play for a cause rather than just give out money.
It's always a great day when you can do the thing that you love most in this world, and it goes to something you care about so deeply.
Shoot Out for Soldiers!
What we try to do is amplify and empower the work that our charity partners do. The Gary Steves Foundation, Team Red, White, and Blue, the Semper Fi Fund, the Range Lead the Way Fund, and all our local charities across the country
It brings people together from various organizations, and it also ties the local community into this event, and I think in that respect it raises awareness for all of our organizations together, so it is a fantastic community event.
Shootout for Soldiers is inspirational.
Dedication
is extraordinary.
family,
For our troops.
bringing the community together.
Rewarding.
American for our heroes.
Shootout for Soldiers is making a difference.
So the biggest difference between the Under Armour Command Head and the Command Low is the ability to form a mid to low pocket, whereas the original Command was designed to form a mid to high pocket. It really is the ideal head shape for attackmen and midfielders who like to shoot the ball. Through the narrow profile, it keeps the ball from hanging in the corners of the head, which is going to give players a more accurate shot. Another great benefit of the design is the glide scoop feature, which allows players to pick up ground balls more quickly and efficiently. Coming in at under 5 ounces, the Command Low is a lightweight option that doesn't compromise the performance benefits of the head. The head is constructed of a temperature stabilizing material that helps it hold up throughout the seasons. If you're a player looking for a lightweight head that delivers power and control, string up the Under Armour Command Low.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Tribal West is the first name in lacrosse out west. For more than 15 years, Tribal West has been gearing up beginners to ballers. Our online store is super easy, and we save you time and money. And team stores, let us do your work. Our deals for both men's and women's MCLA teams are flat out laxtastic. We just made that up. Sublimated unis, made in the USA and delivered on time. Tribal West, proud to be family owned and player operated. Tribal West, look good, play better.
Shootout for Soldiers is a lacrosse event. It's 24 one-hour games in a row.
I mean, I'm pretty excited that we get to play at midnight. It's pretty cool.
So our game is at 3 o'clock in the morning.
My son's playing in the 7 a.m. game.
Just finished 24 hours.
Doesn't matter what time. Playing lacrosse for just awesome cause.
10 to 15,000 people circulating through in a 24-hour non-stop event and 1 hour blocks of lacrosse. I mean, that's powerful stuff.
Shootout for Soldiers is a gathering of the community together around a common cause. It's really about just using lacrosse as a platform to give back to serve our country, and that's what makes the event so special, that it brings all these people together.
I think it's like a really special opportunity to play for a cause rather than just give out money.
It's always a great day when you can do the thing that you love most in this world, and it goes to something you care about so deeply.
Shoot out for soldiers! What we try to do is amplify and empower the work that our charity partners do. The Gary Steves Foundation, Team Red, White, and Blue, the Semper Fi Fund, the Ranger Lead the Way Fund, and all our local charities across the country.
It brings people together from various organizations, and it also ties the local community into this event, and I think in that respect it raises awareness for all of our organizations together, so it is a fantastic community event.
Shoot out for soldiers is inspirational.
Dedication
is extraordinary.
Family.
For our troops.
Bringing the community together.
Rewarding.
American.
For our heroes.
Shoot out for soldiers is making a difference.
We're back, lacrosse fans, as the start of the second half in this UHSLL Class A championship game is upon us. Juan Diego with a 5-3 lead over Brighton. Steve, before the break, I mentioned that Brighton was up in the last game, in the 2016 championship game, but my boy Michael Sanguini, Mike Sango, at Mike Sango, he corrected me. JD was up 6-1.5. Alec Miter had 5 goals in that first half.
Yeah, so Juan Diego last year built a big lead, and then the fourth quarter they just let it slip away from them. I think they allowed something like 6 goals from Brighton, and Brighton took it by a single goal, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe 2?
6, maybe not. I don't recall.
You Twitter followers, you tweeters, let me know. Yeah, fact check me on it. It was 1 or 2 goals, I'm sure. But yeah, Juan Diego looked to have that one all but won at the end of the first half, and just that's why you play a full 4 quarters, right?
Great down ball by Easton Albert, scooping that one up like a second baseman. He drives to Gage, ambitious, trying to shoot that. Flag down though, as he hits the deck. Mike Sango though followed up his tweet, said, "Beautiful to see the game growing. The creator is shining down watching." Great day to be a lacrosse fan, Steve. Lots going on. Playoff lacrosse at its finest, both here locally and at the NCAA level. MCLA championships were last week. Lots going on. Great time to be a lacrosse fan.
Absolutely. The game just gets bigger and bigger, and you know, as more and more athletes and fans discover it, the better and better it becomes.
Brighton with the man-up opportunity after the Juan Diego penalty. Tennyson Schmidt wraps around the goal. Great save by Brendan Roberts. Couldn't find it. Almost kicked it backwards into the goal, but didn't. And able to come down with it. See if Brighton can get a hard ride on after their because they're a man up.
Yeah, I really like what Tennyson Schmidt did there. He recognized that Juan Diego, they, like I talked about, they come down to pressure at X, whereas most teams won't. And so the pole came down one side of the cage. He went up the opposite side, took real advantage of that. Probably should have had a goal there if not for a great effort from Brandon Roberts.
Nice inside pass by Schumann, unable to get a handle on it. It was Owen clears for the Bengals. Looks for Noah Lund, who's unable to collect it. Ball's going to go back to Juan Diego. Steve, we talked in the first half about stick technology. Tribal West Lacrosse, listening in, said that we will get you set up with the Epic or True Carbon Fiber. Step up the tech. Neither of you are too old to be playing. So we appreciate it. Fish, the owner of Tribal West Lacrosse, a longtime Masters League participant, has played in a couple Masters Leagues tournaments as well with the Elder Statesmen, something he's really proud of, and a great accomplishment to see Fish out there playing.
Yeah, Tim, you know, I've got just a couple years left before I'm a master, and I feel a little bit old. Got to tell you, I got a tweet coming in. Looks like the action might pick up, so I'll hold off on sharing it for just a moment. Oh, great stick check. And then they're going to call it a loose ball push. It looks like that put number 23 in the crease, and so they'll leave it with Brighton. Interesting call there.
Schmidt on the wraparound, able to beat Bo Caldwell off the restart. Shot goes wide. As Schmidt frustrated with that, as you can see in our great camera work down there. As Brighton retains, though, on the backup. Ball's with number 1, Isaiah Avalos.
His grandparents watching from Southern California. All right. So Todd Russell tweets in. He says he's been listening all day.
So we get a great
we'll
goal
talk about it afterwards.
by Eason Albert, able to find space on that right-hand side at GLE to give the Bengals back within one.
Yeah, just that great individual effort again, which has been most of our goals today. Just guys taking advantage of a good situation, having a step on their man, and a good close bouncer, too. Those are hard to pull off. Had a teammate who would play behind at X and play on the crease a lot who could just bounce it in from right inside, and they were almost impossible to stop. Anyway, so Todd says he's been listening in all day, and it says, my daughter thinks you are hilarious. I don't know if that's a plural you or just a singular you, but either way, we'll take it. Shout out, he says, to Ellie Belly, which is funny because that's what I call my daughter Noelle as well.
Oh, there you go.
So thanks for tuning in, Todd. We appreciate you hanging out with us all day.
You can take the funny man honor, Steve. I won that award when I was a sophomore in high school, voted the sophomore funny guy.
The class clown, were you?
Yeah, I was proud of it then. My parents never let me live it down when I'd say something funny. So 8:42 left in the second half. The third quarter.
Tim, this is turning out to be just like every other championship game we've seen today. Just a close, competitive game, with the exception of one today. But it's so much fun to see, right? Brighton will push back. Juan Diego will push back. It'll be really, really fascinating to see what happens in this second half, how this thing plays out.
Yeah, Steve, a lot of times you'll see teams get down by a couple goals and kind of just figure that it's an insurmountable deficit. Neither of these teams, though, afraid of playing from behind, as we get a nice shot by number 23, Justice Peterson, getting his second goal of the game. He was the stud for the Bengals in the semifinals, and for Juan Diego, you do not want him to get hot.
Yeah, really coming into his own, playing really well. And that's the tough thing about playing against this Brighton Bengals squad, is there's so many good players at every position. You shut down Tennyson Schmidt, and there's Easton Albert. You shut him down, and there's Justice Peterson. You shut him down, there's Noah Lund. And the list just goes on and on. All of these guys can create. They're athletic. They can shoot. They can dodge. They can pass. It's a tall task.
And Steve, they've been like that for a long time. Brighton going for their 5th state championship in 8 years. So, certainly know how to build a championship program, have a great pedigree. That's number 15, Matthew Cirillo. He's got family watching in Orlando, so they'll be excited with that one. A couple more tweets coming in. Don Davis saying, watching my grandson here in Utah, go Blake Davis. Blake Davis is a Juan Diego player number 1. So thanks for the shout out, Don. Thanks for watching. Mike Sango, back again, asks, is Bubba the best player from this decade from Utah? As we get a shot off the
Piper. What a great shot. What an excellent rip. The placement on that was almost perfect. You can't call it perfect because it came off the pipe, but just a little bit more to the inside, and he'd have had it, but he placed it just where you want to.
Oh, and a ground ball gone awry as Brian able to get the ball back on that tough ride. Steve, what are your thoughts on Bubba being the best player in this decade?
We talked about something similar. We had a tweet earlier this week about who's the best player ever to come out of Utah. And this one a little more specific. Out of this last decade, he's certainly the player that has gotten the most attention and most hype. It's hard to say that he's not, but I think you could argue about some other players being just as good.
And a wraparound from Tennyson Schmidt gives Brighton the lead, 6-5 here with 6:42 left in this third quarter.
Tim, a bit reminiscent of last year. The Bengals start to put on the gas. Their run is coming a little bit earlier, but if you're Juan Diego, you've got to show you're a championship caliber team, weather that storm, and push back.
Yeah, they're going to send out Blake Davis to try to slow down Sione Lund. So a chance for our Twitter shout-out, Don Davis, to see his grandson in action. Steve, back to the Bubba Fairman question. He's certainly, like you said, the one who's gotten the most attention, probably has the most potential, but, still hasn't played in college, hasn't proven that is the case, So as far as that goes, certainly the most potential. But, again, hasn't played in college. If you look at players who have played in college from Utah, I mean, you got to look at guys like Casey Rose, who's just having a great couple seasons at Rutgers. As we see Brighton with the turnover, Sione Lund was the one that threw that away, and he's going to chase him down. And I would run away from Sione Lund as well.
Well, and you see the lacrosse IQ, the pull there, just he runs it into the box and then he pulls it back out, runs all the way back out to the midline to find somebody to pass the ball off to, doesn't get himself in trouble. Yeah, several players on the roster at Rutgers from Corner Canyon, and Rose certainly has been notable there, has, you know, amassed some stats and played well.
Owen with the ground ball, leading the fast break charge. Sorry, that's Fihoko. Able to clear it, get it to Easton Albert. And Steve, the Bengals content to slow this one down so far. 5:35 left in the third quarter. They've got a 6-5 lead. And Ryan Baker and Easton Albert going toe-to-toe with Noah Lund, scooping up the ground ball and getting the G. Well, he is stoked. His 25th goal of the game. That's his first goal in the last 2 games, Steve. He didn't score in the semifinals, and he's excited to get on the score sheet.
Yeah, well, we talk about it all the time. Lacrosse is a game of runs. You get Uncle Mo, momentum on your side, and things will just start to fall for you, and that's what's happening for the Bengals right here. Coach John Holmes going to take a timeout, try to stop the bleeding, and try to get that momentum back on his side.
Yeah, the Brighton fans down just right in front of us, Steve, and they are all on their feet, cheering loud. We mentioned earlier these two squads are typically the best teams in terms of fandom, have the most passionate followers, and so we've got a full sideline on this side of passionate lacrosse-hungry fans. A couple more tweets coming in. Mike Calvert back again says, I coached against both these teams when they were in 8th grade, and they were always going to be the 3 best teams, and then he also includes Park City in that bracket. So Mike Calvert pulling out his wizard ball, predicting the future a couple years ago. Eric Felstead tweeting in, one of our other favorite Twitter followers, how many of these kids are planning on playing college ball, MCLA or NCAA? Eric, I don't know for sure the answer to that question. I do know a couple of the Brighton players are going to SVU. I know a couple of these players have committed to Utah as well, Justice Peterson being one of those. Like we mentioned, Sione Lund going to play football for Stanford as a fullback, and I think you've seen him play well today in that role. Brendan Roberts, the goalie for Juan Diego, is going to Rhodes, and then I'm sure a bunch of these players will end up on local teams' rosters, whether that's BYU, UVU, Utah, Weber State, or Utah State. So Easton Albert's brother plays at Utah State right now, was their leading scorer this year, and so just a lot of great lacrosse. It's good to see some of these players go on to play at the next level, whatever level that may be. So we get Bo Caldwell out there for Juan Diego, number 18, going against 33 Taylor Owens for Brighton, and Owens is down on the turf. Owen scoops up the ball, and we'll get a timeout on the field as the trainers come out to look at Owens. 5:14 left in this third quarter. Brighton with a 7-5 lead and have scored the last 4 goals, which have also been the only goals of this quarter. Easton Albert kicked that off, followed by a great goal by Peterson, then Tennyson Schmidt, and then Noah Lund. So not only 4 straight goals, but from 4 different players.
Yeah, and it's kind of like we talked about, Tim. Just so many good players, so many talented players on this Brighton squad. You can't just focus on one. You've got to stop the whole team, and that's so much easier said than done.
That's right. Another tweet from Mike Sango. Can you let number 1 on white, black socks, and rainbow cleats are simply not acceptable? Little fashion critic coming in from Mike Sango, who has been a passionate Twitter follower in this game. You know, I'm as far away as I can be from the sideline, Mike, but I'll be sure to tell him after the game that you felt that was not appropriate choice of apparel. Again, I don't know if people have noticed either. Number 99 for Brighton, Sione Lund, has gray shorts on simply because they don't make orange shorts large enough for his thighs because they are so muscular. So before you critique the fashion on that one, know that that's the reason, not because he's rebellious or doesn't want to. It's just that they don't have them big enough. And
everybody knows that orange shorts are, traditionally very small shorts, so it would make sense.
Oh, it's been a great day here at Alta High School as we've enjoyed 5 championship games. This is the 5th in that row. The first game started with a Class C championship. Box Elder taking it to Timpview. The girls Division II squared off with Olympus beating Weber, their first title. The Division I girls game was won by Park City, who dominated. As we see a nice shot here by Brighton, Park City won their 4th straight championship. The Class B featured Harriman over Northridge, and now this Class A contest between 2 of the more powerful teams in the state. Both of these teams familiar with Final Four appearances, championship games. Like I mentioned, Juan Diego won 2 straight a few years ago. Like I said, I think 2012, 2013. The team that went back before them was Brighton, and then these 2 meeting up in the championships last year. So it's not a May playoff schedule unless you see Juan Diego or Brighton advancing into the semifinals, it feels.
Yeah, both teams with such a strong tradition and history in lacrosse as far as Utah is concerned. And, it's almost inevitable to see one of the 2 in the championship game. So Brighton seems content. Juan Diego appears to have gone to a 3-3 zone. Brighton seems content to work it around the outside and just eat up some of this clock as they're up by a couple goals, and this has been a relatively low-scoring game so far.
I like the move, though, by Coach John Holmes, trying to get Brighton to take some outside shots. He feels comfortable, and his goalie, Brendan Roberts, feels comfortable that he'll be able to just gobble those right up, and if history proves itself, he will be. Nice skip pass, though, by Lund. Great shot by 28, Kimball Reese. That was saved by Roberts, and they're going to say that Brighton was in the crease, and Roberts will look to clear.
Wow, great outlet pass by Brendan Roberts there, just right on the money.
That Tower was, we talked about him a lot in the first quarter, kind of quiet in the second quarter.
Juan Diego hasn't had the ball a lot in the third quarter, in the second half for us to talk about.
And so we'll see Juan Diego slow the ball down. Currently with Zach Madsen, had 3 goals in the semifinal against Park City. He has 1 here tonight so far, the 5th goal for the Soaring Eagle. He gets double teamed, manages to escape, gonna take it to the hole. Shot, the goalie got a piece of it, but it just bounced right off his leg and into the back of the net.
Sometimes we give the goalies this advice that they should wear the sweats, right? And I wonder if he was wearing those baggy sweats, if that goal doesn't trickle in. Let's look again on the replay. Just great shot placement, gets it low, 5-hole, and the keeper gets a piece of it. He can tell he got a piece of it, turns around, tried to find it, but it's already in the back of the net.
So a great goal there by Madsen brings this within 1. Number 9 out there for Juan Diego. That's Zachary Hoffman going against Sione Lund. And a big face-off here, Steve. Brighton, if they win it, can double their lead. Juan Diego gets it and scores, and they're back in this one for the tie game. And we'll see Cirillo come up with that ground ball. Smartly gets a touch. Looking for help, though. Opts to go to another long pole, which I'm not sure about. And there's Lund able to come down with it. Still not out of the woods, though, Steve, as they get it to Schmidt, and Juan Diego backs off into their zone.
Yeah, these 3-3 zones, I like them a lot because they can be simple but effective. The year that UVU went to the second year that UVU went to the MCLA Division II National Championship, Westminster was a 9 seed, I want to say, 9 seed, 10 seed, 12 seed, something like that, and made it all the way to the semifinals that year by just running that 3-3 zone and stymieing some very good offenses. because they weren't used to seeing it, and it's a very simple and effective zone.
There's Howard with the ball. Juan Diego's playmaker. Just going to do a little dance and then gets a shot off high.
I like that shot. He's matched up with a shorty. He, runs down the alley, gets his hands free, and lets it fly.
Juan Diego off the restart. Great pass. Great shot. And a goal. Blake Davis able to find the back of the net. His second of the night.
Blake Davis creates for himself because he has an offhand here. There's almost zero chance he gets that goal if he tries to keep it in his right hand and do some goofy scoop backhanded shot. But instead, he realizes pressure's on that hand. He turns, gets it into his left hand, and he can shoot with that left hand, and that's what has tied up this championship game right here.
As you said, we're all tied at 7. 1:34 left in this third quarter. Bo Caldwell taking on Sione Lund at the faceoff X. And the ball is still on the turf. Owen is going to come up with it, but Bo Caldwell gets it back. And Juan Diego comes away with it. Still down though. And Caldwell comes up with it. He's going to look to clear. There's 2 men on him.
Wow, what a great individual effort. Now there's a flag down. Juan Diego does a great job to get that possession. You can tell they really want this game.
That's right. After coming out, allowing 4 straight goals in this quarter, Juan Diego kind of waking up, drawing the penalty. We'll have a man-up opportunity. Folks, don't forget to send us your tweets at Tim Haslam or at the Steven Nelson, and we'll be happy to answer them on air. Have a couple great tweets so far in this game. Keep them coming though. Let us know how you see this one panning out. Let us know what you had for dinner. We don't care. we just want to talk about lacrosse with you.
If you're wondering what we had for dinner, we had some delicious cup bop.
Oh, phenomenal. It's an amazing food truck.
Got a couple food trucks here at the venue. It's not too late to come out and watch the fourth quarter and, get yourself some cup bop.
So Juan Diego with the man-up opportunity. Zach Madsen over to Schumann.
You like how quickly the Soaring Eagle moves the ball and how there are guys moving backside. But it seems like Brighton's done a good job of kind of stifling everything.
Howard with the nice shot fake. That was the shot that he hit in overtime. Able to gain a few more yards of advantage. Looks like a kick save by the goalie for Brighton. Able to keep them out of the back of the net. Another shot by Howard goes wide left, and a backup by the Soaring Eagle.
Howard likes that angle. He likes that shot. Feels like he can beat the keeper from there if he can just get it on cage.
Shot into traffic. Not in love with that, Steve, as 2 defenders and the goalie were in his way. Shot by Jack George.
Yeah, had very little angle there. Maybe thought that it would screen the goalie.
Number 1 again, Blake Davis with the rip.
Well, we've talked about the great players on Brighton's side of the ball, but the same could be said about Juan Diego. They have such good players who are fundamentally sound, can take big shots and do big things. And Blake Davis shows it there.
Yeah,
just a great step down overhand shot.
Gets the goalie moving.
Sneaks it right by his hip.
And Juan Diego reclaims the lead. 8-7 with 8 seconds remaining. Bo Caldwell out there as well as Sione Lund. Steve, you've said in a couple of our broadcasts a goal can be scored in as quick as 8 seconds. We'll see if Brighton can do that as they win. Gets the ball up to Tennyson. He's going to have to shoot it. And that's not going to happen as the ball hits the deck. And that's the end of the third quarter, folks. Juan Diego 8, Brighton 7. One more quarter to play to decide the UHSLL Class A State Championship. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, the fourth quarter.
Tribal West is the first name in lacrosse out west. For more than 15 years, Tribal West has been gearing up beginners to ballers. Our online store is super easy, and we save you time and money. In team stores, let us do your work. Our deals for both men's and women's MCLA teams are flat out laxtastic. We just made that up. Sublimated unis, made in the USA and delivered on time. Tribal West, proud to be family owned and player operated. Tribal West, look good, play better.
For this fourth quarter, Juan Diego leads 8-7. 12 more minutes left to play to settle the state champion in this 2016 state championship rematch. 33-43 out there for Brighton. Haven't called his name today, possibly his first playing time. I don't see him even on the roster, Steve. But Bo Caldwell out there for Juan Diego, and Brighton able to get the ball.
Yeah, so it looks like the Bengals will slow it down. They'll get their offensive personnel on, and we'll see what they can do here against this zone of the Soaring Eagle.
Crossfield pass goes awry. Juan Diego will get the ball back. So, Steve, you know, Brighton came out of the halftime break, scored 4 straight goals. Juan Diego answered back with 3 to make it an 8-7 ball game. You got to figure the next goal for either team is going to be very important. I know that's an obvious statement, but Juan Diego with the opportunity to go up by 2, or Brighton with the opportunity to tie it.
Yeah, Brighton basically since Juan Diego's gone to this zone has not been able to put anything in the back of the net. So we'll see if it's something they can adjust to. It's part of what I love about lacrosse is it's that chess game between the coaches. They look at, you know, what can we do differently? What do we need to do? In the Class B championship game earlier today, we saw Harriman go with a little used face-off man because of the matchup that it gave them, and it probably was one of the biggest differences in the game.
Ball down, gonna have a loose ball push. Ball will stay with Juan Diego. 10:36 left in this ball game. Another Twitter question coming in, Steve. After Trevor Baptiste's 21 of 22 at the face-off, will he win the Tewaaraton Award?
You know, I would say he probably deserves it. He has been Mr. Everything for Denver, but I haven't been able, like I said, to watch enough lacrosse this season to really make a definitive statement. I know there's a lot of good players out there this year.
Yeah, I don't follow NCAA lacrosse as closely as I should, being tied up with other lacrosse endeavors, but a performance like that is certainly noteworthy. As we approach the 10-minute mark, 8-7 for Brighton, or excuse me, Juan Diego, as Brighton takes the ball away. And they're going to look to clear. A great pass upfield to Albert, who handles it well. Gets around his man. Oh, great shot by Avalos. Huge goalie save by Brendan Roberts. Steve, we were talking in the break, neither goalie has really been phenomenal. Both just very good at, you know, kind of being great role players at this point.
Yeah, they're kind of what we expect them to be here. They've been put in some tough situations. They've made some good saves. They've let a few in. But they both played solid between the pipes. Both good goalies.
Tennyson Schmidt with a shot that goes wide, backed up by the Bengals after 2 Juan Diego players dove for it. So you're great to see that hustle late in this game. Both teams know what's at stake. A state championship to add to their well-decorated trophy cases. As we approach the 9-minute mark. Justice Peterson with the ball. He's going to carry to the right side, guarded by Bo Caldwell. Juan Diego used to have a D-pole who played for a long time, Bo Long. So whenever I see a D-pole for Juan Diego named Bo, I tend to say Bo Long. So I apologize, Bo Caldwell.
Brighton doing a great job of trying to crack this zone.
And a shot by Schmidt hits Hauer, and he drops. Looks like he's gonna, I'm not sure if the officials are making him, but he's making his way off the field after getting just drilled.
Yeah, so the Bengals are taking these outside shots, but they're also drawing guys to the extreme edge of their zone. You'll see the low wings. They'll pull them all the way up high and then move it back. They'll have the guy at X creep up. They're trying to figure out where's the weak spot in this zone. They're testing it out. They're doing a lot better job than they have thus far against it.
And wrap around by Schmidt goes high. Bengals on the backup. Steve, what you're saying is not much different than like a typical man-up play, trying to get those guys to move out of their zones, maybe overload a zone, find that weakness, and exploit it. So we see Schmidt with the ball. He's going to carry behind X. Got a short stick, which is a favorable matchup for Schmidt. He's going to take advantage of it. Rolls the crease. Fans think it went in, and it did not. Great play by both teams as Juan Diego looks to clear here. Bo Caldwell with the ball. Gets it upfield to number 29, Sam Burbank, who's going to get it behind to Schumann. Goes up to Jack George. Finds Blake Davis. Up to Hauer. Good to see Hauer back on the field after taking that shot. Not sure where it hit him, but can't feel good. He's going to try a little inside pass. Unable to connect, though. And Brighton's going to be clearing. That's Owen. Looks up. Finds Reese. Reese wide to Albert. Oh, and Juan Diego nicely stifles, or stifles, that's the word I'm looking for. Been here since 9. Stifles the offense and able to slow down that fast break.
Yeah, I don't like that chance that the Soaring Eagle took down there. Tried to squeeze it into a really tight window, and it would have been an awkward catch, not ready to shoot anyway. And just not, doesn't do anything for you. You have the lead. Why not work it around, bleed some clock instead of giving up this possession for this goal?
Lund fakes the shot, finds Justice Peterson on the wing, who fakes probably 3 or 4 times to give Brighton the goal, tying this game at 8, 6:50 remaining in this ballgame. We'll see here, Noah again fakes that shot, find Peterson, fake shot, and the goal. What a great play by Brighton as we have a tie ball game for you folks. Tweets coming in. Mike Sango, our guy, Roberts isn't letting anything in. He's a brick wall. Some would say it's unfair. He's like a modern day Yoda.
I like that tweet. That's fun. Yeah, like you said, Tim, the next goal was going to be huge, and it surely was.
We have whistles on the field. Looks like we're going to have a timeout by Brighton. Owen trying to pump up these Bengal fans as we approach, we're at 6:41. Score is tied at 8. Again, feel free to tweet at us at Tim Haslam or at the Steven Nelson. You only have 6 minutes and 41 seconds to do so. Tell us where you're enjoying this game from, who you're rooting for, and what you think the final score will be as we approach the second half of this fourth quarter, and about 6:41 away from crowning a champion. Steve, which way do you think this game will go?
Oh, this one is tough to call. Brighton obviously has the momentum right now. They've got the ball, so it's hard to pick against them. But at the same time, there's a lot of lacrosse left to play. 6:41 can feel like an eternity, especially for a coach in the lead. So, I still have a tough time picking against the Soaring Eagle. They just have played very well this season. I've been impressed with how they've responded to pressure, how they came back in the semifinal game. But Brighton's so talented all around and plays a good game as well. It's tough to say who I think is going to win this one. I have to flip a coin, I think.
Steve's going to plead the fifth here, not pick a winner. Brighton going to start with the ball. Top right corner. 6:41 remaining in a tie game. Reese gets a touch. Guarded by Bo Caldwell. Gets the shot off. Roberts gobbles it up. Mike Sangren's going to love that one. As the Juan Diego Soaring Eagle looks to clear. Great ride by Albert, able to knock the ball free. And they get double teamed. Ball is still down. Albert able to come up with it in a key ride by Brighton. And Tennyson Schmidt comes up with it, going to slow it down. As Brighton had their defensive middies on, they're going to put on their offense. Justice Peterson with the ball. Looking for help. He's going to try to take Bo Caldwell down the wing, back him in, gets around him. Slide comes soon and well. Peterson still with the ball. Rolls back, finds Noah Lund. Peterson. Oh, great shot. Faked, looked like he was going to shoot it about 4 times there as he ran towards the middle of the field. 5:38 left.
Yeah, just froze his defender there, and it allowed him to take a few more steps top side and get a great look at the cage.
Brighton retains the ball as the tweets keep piling in. Mike Calvert is predicting a Juan Diego 10-9 victory. Probably not too far-fetched to see a 10-9 score line. Won't comment on who could be the winner on that. Bo Hikmovic, as we see a shot go wide by Albert, thinks Brighton will win in overtime. We love that. Hashtag free lacrosse.
Indeed we do, Tim.
Steve, I'd love to see like a 10 overtime game. Thoughts?
I need to go to sleep tonight, so anyway.
Schmidt comes around the crease, gets popped, and he's going to hit the deck. Looks like a stick to the chin. As Juan Diego clears, he gets back up. Looks like he's okay. From Not Head Skinny, if Brighton reads the attack, they'll do better against the zone. Hi from Syracuse, New York. Thanks for listening.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see how Juan Diego plays out this possession. You're a tie game. You got 4.5 minutes left. It's an interesting place to be. You don't feel like you need to be too urgent, but at the same time, you don't want to get yourself out of the flow of your game.
Score's tied 8-8. 4:05 left in this game as Brighton comes up with a key turnover. Looking to clear. Number 6, Keb Heasley gets a touch. He's going to go behind to Schmidt, who wisely comes to the rescue. As the tweets keep pouring in. Keep them coming, folks. This game is getting close to the end. Mike Sango back again. Can I get a shout out for Susan Meyer in the crowd right now? She's a huge supporter of the Creators Game. Shout out to Susan Meyer. Don't have control over the PA system, but we'll give her a shout out over the broadcast. Kelly Davis Orr, she tuned in the semifinals. Ohioans here again, cheering on Blake Davis. Fight for it, Juan Diego. Not a lot of Brighton supporters as we see a filthy goal by Easton Albert on that wraparound. That's going to give Brighton the lead. 3:03 left, 9-8.
Yeah, Albert does a great job. It's kind of a stuttered question mark dodge is what we call it. You drive up, you push your defender in from behind the cage, and then you just roll back with your hands free, and you've got enough of an angle to shoot even from that hand. And look how that hits the pipe on the far side and goes in. That was a perfectly placed shot.
And, Steve, those kind of shots come just from practice.
Yeah, you practice that shot over and over and over again. You don't have to see the goal before you turn and shoot on it. You just have the feel for it. You know where to place that shot.
See a little bit of sportsmanship there with Ryan Baker acknowledging the great play there by Albert. As Sione Lund fights for it against Hauer. You're going to call a push on Brighton, giving Juan Diego the ball. Alexandra Ingersoll tweets in, what's available at the concession stand? Any more hot dogs?
They have the world's greatest corn dogs here.
Steve tried to get me to eat one of those and just wasn't having it.
Wow, frenetic play down here. Brighton playing very physical defense, pushing out hard. And then goalkeeper Crinble just eats up that pass, but unable to clear it cleanly.
And the play's getting real physical. Teams exchanging hits.
The parents here don't know that an over and back is not called unless you've touched the ball in the box. They were calling for an over and back. You don't get one, but the result is
a goal by Sam Burbank, his second of the night.
Just fantastic.
So we see the replay here. No one comes out to guard him, and he's just going to step down, bounce that one low, far pipe. Great shot placement.
Yeah, I'm surprised by the hesitation by the Bengals because they have been pressing out and playing such physical defense. It seemed like everybody thought somebody else was going to step up to pick up ball, and nobody did. And that starts with talk with your defensive players. Somebody's got to call I got ball. If you don't hear somebody calling I got ball, you call I got ball and go get ball.
That's right. Tough to leave a guy like that open on the wing. As we have 2:22 left. Great shot of the crowd there. Lots of students from both of these teams coming out and supporting. We're actually probably right in the middle of both schools, Steve. Equal distance from each one.
Yeah, it's the perfect location for these two teams to be playing.
There's Cirillo coming up with a ground ball, looking for help. Juan Diego kind of locking off there. And we've got a whistle and a timeout by Brighton. Smart call there as Brighton looked to be in trouble getting that timeout. Again, if you've got questions or comments, want to know what's at the concession stand, give us a shout out on Twitter at Tim Haslam or at the Steven Nelson. 2:08 remaining in this ball game. Score is tied at 9. Steve, if you're Brighton, what are you talking about in this huddle?
I think we want to chew up some clock here before we get our shot. I think we work it around, and if Juan Diego comes out in that zone again, I think we start just drawing men out of the zone like we were doing, running basically man-up plays and seeing if we can't find those weak spots and getting those good shots from the low wing where we've had some success. So I think you tell your guys take care of the ball and don't take any silly chances, but let's put one in the back of the net so that we can go home victorious.
And Brighton players coming out with their arms raised, trying to get the fans into it. Juan Diego coming out, doing the same. Lots of great lacrosse left to be played. Doesn't get much better than this, folks. Thanks for tuning in wherever you are in the world. We're here in Sandy, Utah, as we approach the last 2 minutes of this Class A championship between the Juan Diego Soaring Eagle and the Brighton Bengals. Score is tied at 9. It's been a back-and-forth affair, which is the kind that we like, as Brighton works it around, looking for that open shot. Ball's with Schmidt. Gets it up to Peterson. Over to Albert. Nothing there for the Brighton offense. Juan Diego playing tough. There's Noah Lund with the ball. Gets it up to Tennyson Schmidt. Gets it over to Peterson. 1:17 left. Oh, and the Bengals throw it out of bounds. Ball is going to go back to Juan Diego. Steve, about minute 10 left. You just play for the last shot?
I think you just get it down and set up your offense and take a good shot if you have it. If there's 30 seconds left and that's when you've got a good shot, I think you take it. You just play to get that shot. Great clear by Juan Diego. They've had trouble with that tonight, but that one they set up nicely and ran smoothly.
48 seconds left. Juan Diego's passing around, and Sean Holmes wisely calls a timeout as that ball almost sails out of bounds. 46.2 seconds left. Tied at 9. Steve, you got to think they're just going to pass it around and wait for that last shot, don't you?
Yeah, with 46.2 coming out of a timeout, I think you swing it around the horn, you set something up, and with 10 seconds or so, that's where you're looking to get that shot. just in case it doesn't go down. You can grab a rebound in the chaos and put it in, but probably not enough time to get it all the way down to the other end of the field and hurt you.
Had a tweet coming in wondering what seeds these teams are. Juan Diego is the number 5 seed. Brighton is the number 3 seed. In Utah, the playoff seeds are determined by final lax power regulation in rating, and that's how it all shakes out. So that's going to come into play. It only takes into account your in-state games, and you got to figure out, kind of balance that schedule. Make sure you're scheduling tough teams, winning those games in order to get that 1 seed. Park City was the 1 seed this year after going into state undefeated in state. Alta was the number 2 seed, Brighton the number 3 seed, Corner Canyon the 4 seed, Juan Diego the 5 seed. Honestly, Steve, the top 5 is pretty much interchangeable this year.
Yeah, anybody could have been in this game tonight. It just depended who stepped up in the games that they played.
Yeah, Park City played Brighton in the last game of the regular season and only won by 1, and then obviously losing to Juan Diego in the semifinal in overtime. So, like I said, interchangeable. Alta and Park City played to a 1-goal game. Corner Canyon and Juan Diego, I believe that was an overtime game. As Juan Diego tries to roll the ball, Fiocco, though, trying to get it, because it was a slow roller, needed to put a little more oomph on that. 26 seconds left. Juan Diego comes away with it. Definitely not what was in the plan. Maybe an opportunity, though, in this little unsettled situation to find space. That's Schumann with the ball. He's going to look across the field to Blake Davis, who nails it, giving Juan Diego the lead with 15 seconds remaining. That's Davis's 3rd of the game. A 2nd assist for Schumann. With 15 seconds left, score is 9-10 for Juan Diego.
Oh, what an incredible catch and finish. Able to catch it in one motion and put it to the low corner. Oh, it doesn't get any better than this, Tim. We got a tight game. We've had a tight game all game long. 15 seconds still remaining. Still, stuff can happen. We might get hashtag free lacrosse yet. Don't go anywhere, fans.
Sione Lund out there for Brighton.
Quick shout out to Jared Campbell. He's rooting for Brighton all the way from DC.
Howard comes away with the face-off win. Arm raised in the air. Timeout? No? He ran out of the box as they now have the lead. So he got a touch, immediately ran out. Brighton will send it down. Ball's out front. Roberts comes up with it. He's going to heave it, and that's the ball game, folks. Juan Diego is your 2017 Class A champion, beating number 3 Brighton 10-9. What a game.
What a game. What else can be said? This thing, man, it just came down to who had the ball last, didn't it? You had most of the goals were scored off of unsettled situations. It's fitting that that last one comes off just a scramble off a kind of a funny ground ball because of that that roll pass that just took too long to get where it was supposed to go.
Yeah, super risky.
Maybe fortuitous in hindsight.
A lot of Juan Diego fans' hearts dropped at that minute. Keep the tweets coming in, though. Tell us what you think about the championship game that you just witnessed. Thanks for watching as well, wherever you are from. Mike Calvert saying prophetic. He did call a 10-9 win by Juan Diego.
Didn't we say earlier in the broadcast he had a crystal ball? Was that Mike Calvert? Yeah.
Yep. That's him. Mitch Francis, our favorite Mitch. We both have a long history with Mitch. He tweets in, which team do you think had the tougher road to get back to the championship?
I mean, both of these teams played similar schedules. I don't know. Brighton reloads every year, so it's hard for me to say that it was them. But at the same time, you graduate one of the best players we've seen in the last 10 years. I feel like in a way, maybe it was Brighton was a little bit tougher for them to get back here. However, Juan Diego did have to go through the favorite, Park City.
Well, yeah, if you look at just the playoffs, Brighton beat Jordan, then they beat Fremont, then they beat Logan. So Brighton was favored in all of those games in theory, if you look at the seeds. Juan Diego had to beat American Fork. Then they beat Corner Canyon, who was the favorite. Corner Canyon was the 4 seed. Juan Diego was the 5 seed. Then they beat Park City, who was the 1 seed in overtime, and then beating Brighton, the 3 seed. So they were the underdog in 3 games. Juan Diego was, and were able to get that championship. So if you look at just the playoffs, I think definitely Juan Diego had the tougher road. If you look at the season overall and the talent lost or gained, it's hard not to argue that Brighton was had the toughest road and maybe the surprise team to come back. They also went through a coaching change, which we didn't talk about. They let go of longtime head coach Brandon Haroba and hired one of his assistants, Garrett, who a lot of people were kind of worried about. You fire a guy who's won. Brandon Haroba had won 4 state championships for the Bengals in 7 years at that point, and you fire him. Brighton started off the year with a 10-7 win over Corner Canyon, went to California, lost 2 games, beat Logan in a regular season game, then lost to Juan Diego. So they're 5 games in, 2-3 record. People are starting to kind of get worried. They dropped a game to Olympus in overtime, which they hadn't lost to Olympus in a long time. Lost 9-6 to Alta, who's a big rival for them, and then dropped the season finale 11-10 to Park City. So, you kind of look at wins and losses, who they're played against, and they certainly performed to where they're used to performing.
Yeah, they did just fine. Maybe a little bit of a bumpier road than they're used to the last couple years. Had a few big upsets against them, like you said, some teams that they hadn't lost to in quite a while, like Olympus. So, both of these teams had to climb a mountain to get here. It's not like anybody assumed that this would be the matchup come the end of the season. You have powerful teams like Corner Canyon and Park City. Logan stepped up this year. And then these other schools like Davis puts on a strong show this year. I don't think they get enough respect. I'm sure I'm leaving out Alta, where we are a fantastic team and just maybe lost their mojo come playoff time, but a lot of good teams in the state this year, and it was a toss-up of those 5 or 6 top teams who might be here this Saturday.
Yeah, just a great year overall, Steve, for lacrosse in Utah. Again, Juan Diego taking home the 2017 state championship with a 10-9 victory. Blake Davis scoring with 15 seconds remaining to get that game-winning goal, and which was a rematch of last year's state championship, which saw Brighton win. So some good rival, kind of natural-born rivalry coming in with Brighton and Juan Diego. If you're joining us later, we hadn't mentioned it before while you were listening. The Utah High School, lacrosse or the Utah High School Athletics Association decided to sanction the sport in the 2019-2020 season. So a lot could happen with that, Steve. We've talked a lot about it this weekend. I've heard, I was talking during the girls' game to a guy who said that there's a couple school districts who aren't on board, who aren't in favor of sanctioning lacrosse. It's not. The UHSAA said that it's an optional thing. They don't have. No one has to sanction it. And so a couple of school districts already coming out speaking to members of their community saying we're not going to sanction lacrosse. It's kind of a scary thought.
I think it's interesting. You get these rumors and things like that, and I know that it's also what's happened in other states where they've sanctioned the sport. These schools that didn't get on board, the teams continued to run as club teams and play in a club league that obviously shrank quite a bit, and then eventually either there was enough support for the team and enough parents made a fuss to the school board and things to get the school on board, or they slowly faded away and new teams arose with different schools that were in districts that were pushing for it. So you might look, for example, Alpine School District, you have one team running in Orem right now, whereas You know, there could be 3. There are 3 high schools there. You look down to Nebo School District, where Spanish Fork is the only team, and there's 6, 7 schools.
Yeah, you know, stay tuned, folks, for this trophy presentation. They're going to award Brighton with consolation runner-up medals and then present the trophy to your 2017 UHSLL Class A champions, the Juan Diego Soaring Eagle. Thanks for joining us on this broadcast. We appreciate it. We hope you stay safe wherever you are. And I think if you're a fan of lacrosse, you won today. Thanks for tuning in.